Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Cloudbeds Live. My name is Paula. I'm a senior PR specialist at Cloudbeds and the host of today's show. In case this is your first time with us, we host Cloudbeds Live shows every month where I get to chat with renowned industry professionals about different topics in the hotel industry. I am that lucky. All the episodes are recorded and you can find them on our website, cloudbets.com/videos. We've had amazing guests and great conversations so far, and I am sure today is no exception. Today's episode, it's all about AI, hotel search, zero-click marketing, and what hotel marketers should be doing to take advantage of AI search. We will also discuss Cloudbed's latest report, the signals behind hotel AI recommendations, the first ever study on AI hotel recommendations. That's so exciting. And to help us understand the future of marketing, we have two special guests that you can already see on the screen. I am incredibly excited to welcome our first guest, who actually needs no introduction in the world of marketing, but I'll give him one anyway because we are polite here at Cloudbeds. So joining us today is Ren Fishkin, co-founder and CEO at Spark Toro, makers of fine audience research software. Rand is one of the most trusted voice in digital marketing, and his insights have shaped how we think about search, influence, audience intelligence. Rand has spent his career helping people become better, smarter marketers, me included, by the way, whether through his writing, videos, keynotes, or his book Lost and Founder. And you might also know him as the co-founder of Moss or as the co-author of The Art of SEO, a must-have for anyone who's ever tried to rank on Google without losing their minds, which is a mission impossible thing to do. So we are thrilled to have you here. Rand, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, my
Welcome to the
pleasure.
show.
Wow.
I hope I did your
Big introduction,
introduction
Paula. That's
well.
amazing.
That's too much of an introduction. What you meant to say was, here's a guy from the internet. He spends way too much time on his hair.
Okay.
Done.
I think you're being
Me
modest,
too.
but and our next guest is someone who truly understands what it takes to bring hospitality marketing into the modern age and make it work in real world because we are tired of theories. I'm talking about Ben Lloyd, Program Director of Digital Marketing Products at Cloudbeds. Ben leads the charge in building marketing solutions that empower independent hoteliers to boost direct bookings and stand out online. Ben started in SEO, founded and successfully sold his own performance marketing agency, and today we are lucky at Clubbus to have him because he's helping build platforms that blend data-driven strategies with practical real-world needs of hoteliers. But kid you not, like this is don't be fooled. Ben's talents don't stop at marketing. I have to say, I've taught marketing tech outside work. Ben is an
Oh,
avid
no.
pinball enthusiast, a motorcycle adventurer, and the skill amateur bartender. That's a crazy, crazy mix. I love it. So, welcome to the show, Ben. Thank you so much for being here today as
Oh
well.
boy. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here. Yeah, this is fun.
So I see people are starting to join us. I can see some comments already. So thanks everyone who is joining us. Please let us know where you're watching the show. Write a comments and questions, especially if you're watching this live. Don't miss out the opportunity to ask these experts your question. It's a one-time thing that you can do. So, and we love interactions. We will do our best to answer your questions. And before we dive in, final message here. I know it's too long. If you're tuning in live or watching the replay, I'm gonna ask you to do a favor. Go ahead and give this video a like, please. It helps more hoteliers discover Cloudbeds Live and join the conversation. Plus, you tell us if you want more of content like this. So thanks again for the support. And let's get this started. Let me just say we have William here. Say hello from New York. Thank you, William, for joining us. We have Sarah here from Florida. Hello, Sarah. San Francisco is in the house. We have India as well. We have
Wow.
Argentina. That's very, yeah, all over the world. So thanks everyone who joining us, and this time is the first time that we are on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So that's also exciting. But let's get it started. We have a lot to cover and not so long, not so much time. Sorry. So Rand, I'll start with you. You've been talking about zero-click marketing, right? And so for those, let's start from the beginning. For those who are unfamiliar, what is in in a nutshell, what is zero click marketing, and why do you believe it represents the future of digital content strategy? And I'm going to add just a follow up question: should marketers be afraid of zero click, uh, because I think many of us are, or should we, when, as you said in a presentation, should we join the Darth Vader in the other side of the force? Go ahead, Ben. Ren.
Yeah. Let's see. I would say you can be afraid. It's scary. It's a big change. I think it's very frankly a much bigger change than sort of all the AI stuff. Like AI is slowly and steadily gaining some traction with some people, but it's really only about maybe 5% of people who are really using AI heavily for search right now. But zero click marketing is being forced on us by the platforms. And what, in a nutshell, what it means is Facebook, Reddit, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, every single platform, and Google, Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, AI tools, they no longer send traffic in substantial and growing numbers to the internet. They're all shrinking the amount of traffic that they send. Some of them send almost no traffic at all. AI tools is a good example of this. TikTok's a great example of this. Instagram's a good example of this. And Google, of course, we've seen for years, zero-click searches have been rising and clicks that are sent to organic listings have been falling. So the only thing that you can really do as a marketer is invest in ways to get your message out to potential customers in ways that don't require a click, a link to your website. That means the platform itself becomes your marketing medium rather than merely a destination to drive traffic from. And that's a fully different way of thinking about internet marketing than what we had for sort of the first 20, 25 years of the internet.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah. I
change. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ben.
oh, I was just going to add some more context to that. So I think, uh, even to distill it down even further or make it even more specific. So like what he's talking about is really like when you go to Google to look up something and it answers your question in the result. You don't have to click on anything to go there.
Nope.
I don't have to go to the publisher's website or the source of information. They'll cite it. They're doing maybe a little bit better job of that, but making it easier to figure out where it came from. But at the end of the day, like, oh, yeah, cool, moving on. Like, if I'm a publisher, I didn't have a chance to sell an impression to when you came to my website or a membership or something like that, or a product. Like, it's just, oh, I got my question answered. I'm moving on with my day.
Yeah. 10 years ago, if we were having this conversation, we'd be like, hey, you're running a small boutique hotel in Shimokitazawa in Tokyo. You should be putting up, blog posts and content on your website to drive people to your site and get traffic from Google. And then you should be sharing those on social media and building up a following so that people come to your site from social. And now that doesn't work. Like it literally doesn't work. You used to be able to, I could put, here's a good example. You used to be able to post a link in Twitter, and I would drive a lot of traffic with the links that I posted in Twitter. And small hoteliers could drive traffic with the links they posted in Twitter, and travel bloggers could drive traffic with the links they posted in Twitter. Not anymore, because Twitter's algorithm evolved to bias against posts that include a link. Twitter wants to keep you on Twitter. Now it's X, right? LinkedIn wants to keep you on LinkedIn. Google wants to keep you on Google. That is better for their bottom line. It's better for their executives' bonuses every quarter. Driving traffic is, it's going to be like pushing a boulder up a hill. That's not to say there's no opportunity there. There still is some. It's just declining. And so if you're not embracing the future, the obvious future and reality that we're living in, you're missing out.
Yeah, and I can see, Rand, with this change of strategy or the change of how you measure results, basically. Because I can
Well,
think
yeah,
like I'm
that
a
matters
marketer.
too.
Yeah, because I'm a marketer. So how am I gonna prove my work for my
Right. So
boss? I
you were,
think that's
yeah,
a
I
lot of
mean,
people asking now, like
yeah,
how,
yeah.
like uh,
Well,
what
Paula
is
and
your
Ben, I
device?
mean, you guys remember, right? Like there were all these times when, people like me and me included stood on stages and said, "Oh, impressions, views, the number of people who watched your LinkedIn live presentation, those are vanity metrics. The real metrics that matter are, conversions and the visits that you can try to tie to conversions." And those days are gone. Like if you are measuring and investing in marketing based on the channels that drive you traffic, you will always undercount the real sources of your customers' influence, and you will overweight the few sources, mainly Google brand search, that send you traffic, right? That still send traffic. What happens if you're on Instagram right now and you see, okay, great, Camelia joined us from Spain. I am going to Spain, going to Valencia in March, and I'm looking at hotels and which ones I should stay at. And I like fancy hotels because I'm kind of a fancy bish myself, which Ben knows. and so like when I go to Instagram and I'm browsing these like beautiful luxury hotels in Valencia, what happens when one of them looks really compelling to me? I don't click on the profile link in Instagram and then like try and find their link tree and then try and go to the hotel's web. No, I go to Google and I search for the hotel's name, and then Google gets the credit for something that organic social media drove. And fundamentally, you are always going to be misattributing your investments if you rely on last click traffic channels. I researched probably 20 hotels, and I researched them, with Google and with AI tools and with social media, a lot of social media. And then I made my decision. And once I had already made my decision, that was the only Google search that I did. So,
Yeah.
like
Right.
you got to watch out. You've got to watch out if you are trying to do attribution instead of measurement.
Yeah, I think also just kind of like to piggyback on that, like this has always been it's always been hard to prove or hard to show, like, and well, I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit later with respect to like, well, you can look at your lift in like brand traffic, or especially what we encourage hoteliers to do all the time, build programs around like when somebody does Google your name, you do not want that click or that booking to go to booking.com. You want them to come to your website, right, and do that thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. So yes, that in fact that's a big foundation of what we're doing is like, hey, meta search ads and brand keyword search, because that we're trying to capture that and let it go. But how do people, when customers come to me and say like, and again, maybe jumping ahead a little bit, I'm not getting very much of that. Well, yeah, because you've got to go and do these other things that make people want to search for your name. So there's always like a thing in the there's always been a thing in this industry about the billboard effect when it comes to like, well, I'm listed in OTA, because ultimately even Google, when you're like, I want to stay in Valencia, Spain, they'll start to give you lists of hotels, and those lists come from third parties, TripAdvisor, Booking.com, you name it. So people will go through those and be like, oh, this place looks great, I'm going to Google their name. So you got to be listed there, but don't give it away at that moment in time, right? So there's kind of that mix. How do you drive more of that activity so that you can capture those at the bottom of the funnel,
I
so
think,
to speak? Or
very frankly, one of the smartest things that I have seen in the hotel industry over the last like 10, 15 years, especially, is hotels have done, especially in like, I would say, the higher end categories, have done a really good job of training me against using OTAs. Like they've made it feel risky. I booked a few times on OTAs, and then I show up and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, this class of rooms is for this or whatever. You don't get the loyalty rewards points. You can't, other people who are checking in are getting like free stuff or upgrades or benefits. And I just go, you know what? It's not worth it. I should just book with the hotel direct. People who show, a lot of hotels do this now, show that they have a lower price, right? That this is the best price that you will get always on their website. And that by logging in, if you stay with them even twice or three times, or their hotel group, you're going to get rewards. That is incredibly valuable. But it also means that people are going to do their research in all these listing type places, Booking.com and TripAdvisor and Google itself, and in the luxury space, Tablet Hotels and Kiwi Collection and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and all these kinds of places. That research happens. I do it myself, and then I go to your website, and if you foolishly think that Google is the thing that drove the visit that resulted in a conversion, rather than Google was just the highway that took someone from point A to point B, right? It's just the white pages listing of today. You're going to have a bad time because you're going to be over investing in a channel that is not actually producing the results for you. And you're going to be under investing in places where people really do their research. And this is why I think it's so important to deeply understand your audience and know their true sources of influence, no matter how wide those might be, so that you can correctly put your marketing dollars and budget and effort and energy into those places.
Well, yeah, to your point there, even like if we that's really been the state of things for a while and continues to be, because as you mentioned, like people are using DuckDuckGo than maybe ChatGPT or whatever, or whatever your quote was. But at the end of the day, like, even let's just assume that people are now using whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, whatever, to like do their research, right? I think you'll still see like, oh, Kiwi Hotels says that da 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 da. Oh, you know what? Well, that means something to me, right? As opposed to like it's still going to work that way. Just the method, like where you're getting that information is different, but it's still the source of the list, right? It's just maybe that list is more curated or catered to you.
The era of AI, whether we're talking about Google AI overviews or Perplexity or ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, it comes down to PR. It comes down to being present in the places where your audience pays attention. And that is essentially a PR-like task, right? Where I am going and saying, hey, I recognize that my hotel needs to be listed in these publications in positive ways, viewed by their journalists, reporters, social media person, influencer, whoever's writing this stuff. And if I want to be in the AI answers, if I want to be in the search results, I have to be in these publications. What's weird is even if you don't think anybody reads those anymore, even if you're like, I am convinced nobody reads, whatever is like the Telegraphs, the British newspapers, list of best hotels in Portofino or whatever, you still want to be there because that is how Google is generating the AI overview. And that's how Claude and ChatGPT and Perplexity and all of them are answering those queries.
Yeah, talking about that, and I'm gonna go to Ben. Go back to the hotel more specific that we are talking here, Ben. Just jumping because Rand mentioned already how to be in the Google answer overview and stuff. As I mentioned before, Ben, we recently released the AI hotel recommendation report, and we identify possible factors that impact AI ranking specific for hotels we're talking now. So, Ben, what can you tell us about the main findings, or what factors hotels should take into account to be? Is the same as Rand mentioned, like a PR kind of stuff? There is something more specific, like reviews. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think yes. So the what is it? The signals behind hotel AI recommendations, right? Is like the paper's great. It really distills down, I think, and I'm not trying to pitch it that hard, but it really does distill down like some of the factors.
It's great. It's totally worth reading, and it's free, right?
Yes.
There's no pitch.
I'm sorry. I'm just not trying to be a shill, but no, it's great. Like the
information
is great.
Good. Yeah, it's really good.
But what I'm driving at is like, being again, Paula mentioned maybe how long I've been doing this. Like, I'm trying not to be cynical. Like, hey, this is all old hat. But honestly, like a lot of the same things apply. There's with discoverability or indexability or findability. Like if you're an old school SEO person or marketer, like a lot of those principles still apply, but it reinforces a couple key things. There's like blocking and tackling you can do, right? So it's, hey, we see one of the biggest things, which has always been true with hotels and even more and more so with how Google has been ranking hotels and map results, is reviews. You cannot fake that. You need real people giving real reviews at a regular cadence. They need to be fresh. You should be replying to those. These are all things that you should be doing already. But that review source is one that cited in this paper. It was kind of seen as like, and it makes a lot of sense as a LLM generative, engine, whatever, like or an AI. I only want to recommend stuff that I think is going to be good, right? And Google has been doing this all along as well. Like, I want to recommend a property that it looks like it's worth recommending. People are going to be happy with that result, right? And so a lot of that is the same. So good reviews, key. Listing yourself on OTAs. Now, we just talked about like, oh, I don't want to book through the OTA, but as a source, like, how do they understand, whether it's the LLM or the traditional search, like, how do they understand who you are, where you are, some of the attributes and amenities of your property? What is a definitive source of information, something that we trust and we know, and they have tens of thousands of listings, if not hundreds. And okay, I know what to do with this information. So listing yourself on OTAs. And I think at Cloudbeds, we've kind of, we put out that big book at OTAs, like, I don't know, last year, the year before, that like, it's not just about the big guys, the Expedias and Bookings. Niche hotels have niche, however you like to say it, have their own as well. So like, hey, if we're like a surf destination, there is an OTA for you. If they're, pet friendly travel, there is one for you. Like, hey, I like to do horseback riding and I place with stables. There's a place for you, believe it or not. So like all of those, whether it's OTAs or listing sites or whatever, that's all still kind of part of that. How do we understand how relevant this property is to what this person is looking to solve?
Ben, do you have kind of a breakdown? So, let's say I own a hotel, or I was talking to you before the show about like a friend who's building a hotel in Italy, which is kind of crazy. But do you have if you are going to go the OTA route, we recommend that do you do different pricing stuff? Is it the description of the OTA? Like, what's the strategy for being present in all these places where you need to be listed, but also trying to make sure that at the end of the day, most of the booking happens on your site?
Yeah. So a lot of it's a little bit like kind of like you were talking about luxury properties and brands and maybe more sophisticated buyers who are looking for something specific. They might lean one way versus like economy. Like, I just need to play, like those economy stays. So it kind of varies a little bit. So I think our recommendation is always, and this is in that big book of OTAs, like you should be listed on a minimum of like this many, but it doesn't have to be these. Find your niche and make sure you're doing that. But in terms of the strategies or best practices with respect to pricing, I can tell you definitively that from running meta search ads, which meta search ads are literally like when you go to Google and you'll see like, here's the price on Booking.com, Expedia, and Direct, right? If your property is $1, it depends on your market, $1 more, $10 more per night, that really affects your click-through rate. That is effectively an ad. So your pricing, it's not just like what we're sending, but what happens, because those third parties do, especially the big guys, do a lot about, we'll just take your rate, and this customer signed up for the Genius program or one of these others, and so we're just going to undercut it. Like we'll take the $5 hit on it just to be able to show a lower rate. So you have to be cognizant of that. Do you even opt into that program? That affects your visibility on that platform. How dependent are you? I mean, it's not a baseline, just do this, right? But you definitely, that is an important consideration, like how you price yourself and how you send rates to OTAs. Is it all the same? Do you want to jack those up a little bit to account for that? Like, you can do all these things. It's just a matter of what's the right approach for your property.
Okay. But this is different. Really, you're saying it's different for every different property, different sectors. Yeah,
precisely. And, ultimately it comes down to what actually shows, because you may not be aware of the fact that you're like, oh no, we're doing that. We're sending a little bit of a higher rate or whatever. They could still do things that will undercut it so that it shows lower. So you need to actually look at it every once in a while. Hey, I searched different dates, different numbers of guests, different lengths of stay, and just see what you have to actually look at it. That's the best way to be able to tell.
May I add my just 2 cents here?
What else? In the paper. Yeah. Sorry, I did want to mention one more. I did want to mention one more thing in the paper, is that like Brian kind of hinted at this already. Like, if you're focused on that last mile, like what happened at the very, very end, and that attribution to like Google drove us the traffic that made the booking. Yep, it played a part in that. It helped serve that up, put it in front of the person, whatever. However, how did they know to search for you, etc. And again, as he's mentioning, it's a very ethereal concept, because it's It's not a checkbox item. It's a brand. We've built a brand. We have a unique selling proposition. We're doing something that caters to a specific audience or specific traveler type, and we're really speaking to them. And I think that, especially with AI and getting more specific, because at a high level, it's just an extremely long tail search, right? I'm looking for this. I wanted to have that. And I want, whatever. And so, hey, they served up my property as a relevant result. Well, you need to work on that in that brand. And like, what are you putting out there? How are you being found? Why are you being considered? All those things. And branding is not cheap, and it's not easy, and it's not a simple like one-off task, like maybe adding a title tag to your page might be, right? Or updating your listing in your Google business profile or something like that. So it takes more work than that.
Yeah, I think this is like a huge part of every single marketing effort I've ever done, which is like, does the product and the company have a position in the market that is unique from all other alternatives that a customer might select? What is that uniqueness? Do you communicate that effectively over and over again in all the places where you're present? And then does the product, the property itself, actually deliver on that promise? If you're missing any of those pieces, right? If you're missing any of those pieces, everything marketing and sales gets so much harder. And if you have that clear through line where it's like, we promise to do this, we position ourselves like this, we build the company to do this, all of our team and employees know that this is what we're serving and how we're supposed to be. The property delivers on that promise. The customers review it that way. Boom. Like sales and marketing just sings. It soars. Yeah. Not easy to do because, unfortunately, I'm sure you've seen this, Paula and Ben, marketing doesn't always get a seat at the product table. And fundamentally, I think this is like, this holds a lot of hoteliers and people in travel, in addition to every other field, back.
Yeah, I think even within hotels, marketing turns into more like, like what are we putting on the walls or on the tables, or like how does like where's our brand fit? Like how do we present ourselves, but not necessarily like let's talk about the guest experience.
Yeah. Let me just add. First of all, you were mentioned the report. We are adding the link on the chat if people were asking, so we're gonna add.
I tried to add it and it was like, no.
Sorry.
So
no, sorry.
I'm glad you put it in there.
No, we gotta do it, and it is
Thanks
this one. But of course, on the screen we won't have any impact, but just so you know that we have it here. And what I was going to mention as well was you were talking about OTAs, and now you're talking about guest experience. I remember a quote, and I cannot remember who said it. It's a CEO from a big hotel brand, and I like it because it says, I'm okay to get a reservation, a first timer reservation for people that people that book my hotel through the OTA. Sorry, the first time going through the OTA, that's fine. But the other, if he stays again and he goes through the OTAs, then I have a problem. Because in his point was, once you get the guest, you need to create a guest experience that it's perfect for him or for her, for them, and then create loyalty. And I think that's also a very good way of thinking. I mean, OTAs are there. We're probably going to get some reservations through there. It's part of the game. But creating loyalty, I think that's also
the best thing to happen could be somebody says like, where's your email list? Can I sign up? I want to, or like your loyalty program or whatever, when they're at the property, right? Like that's what you want them to do is, I had such a great time. We want to come back next year. Like, how do I, whatever, like that kind of thing.
That's where the money's at. I'm going to say one more thing about this, like way to get included in all these places. And when I say all these places, like if you look at the, I want to say it was the Google AI overview citations, Ben, where it was overweighted to social media stuff, like way more Reddit and YouTube and Instagram and that kind of stuff. And then if you look at like Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity and stuff, it's more publications. So like press and media. And my note about that is both of those sort of social media influencers and Reddit thread conversations and all that, and whatever, the Telegraph and the BBC and whoever, Forbes travel and all best destinations list, all that kind of stuff. They are all incentivized to talk about things that are unique and that are products worth talking about. That is a difficult thing to do, right? So like there's a difference between our hotel offers an exceptional experience, like the guest experience is very good, versus, oh man, I've never seen that before at a hotel. I've never had that happen before. That thing is just, that's crazy. That's wild. Maybe for some people it's good. Maybe for some people it's not exactly what they want, but it really suggests a unique perspective. That thing that's worth talking about is more likely to get you traction in all these places with all these different kinds of sources of influence than simply being a really good experience. I'm not telling you not to polish the experience. The rooms need to be clean, the tables need to look nice, the decor should be solid. Sure, all of that, that's all like table stakes basic stuff. Improving that might help you get fewer bad reviews and more good ones, whatever. But the thing that will get you true coverage is when you do something that is unexpected, novel, and worth talking about.
Yeah,
I think that's great advice. You gotta have a hook. I don't want to say the word gimmick, but like you gotta have something.
Yeah.
It's just like my wife's an interior designer, and like it's been a thing. Maybe it's dying off now, but it's the proverbial angel wings on the wall, so people can't take an Instagram selfie in front of. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about in a way. Like you gotta have. That,
I mean, that's like that's sort of the lowest level of the hook, right? And the highest level of the hook. I think when you started working in hotels, Ben, I remember I told you a story about Will Reynolds, who's the head of Sierra Interactive, which is a very respected digital marketing firm, does lots of marketing in the travel space as well. And Will and I stayed at a hotel together in Turkey, in Cappadocia, and you can't do this anymore, right? But the hotel's social media person followed us on Twitter, saw us tweeting about. We were like, oh, let's go to the Turkish grocery store and see if they have marshmallows that we could roast on the fire at the hotel tonight, because it's like a cave hotel and they did fires at night. And when we got back to the hotel, their person had acquired marshmallows for us. And so when we walked in, they were like, hey, we said, that was crazy. I can't stop talking about that experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I don't know how exactly to frame that. I don't know what to call that sort of personalization and level of service, but it's wild, right? Like
it's wild. Yeah. I know we're running real close on time. I did want to touch on sort of like one subject that that has been coming up a lot. In fact, I had a big conversation with one of the players about this yesterday. So what we've been talking about and what this paper that we've published is talking about, and like a lot of the tools that we've built, it's focused on this discoverability aspect, right? So if we're bringing this back to the AI, how do you become discovered, and not only discovered, recommended? So we've been talking a lot about that, and I think that's kind of like one half of the equation. The other thing that gets technology companies like ours really psyched, and like where a lot of people see like the future for good or bad is like, okay, this agentic experience, like AI, I built an agent. Hey, this place looks great. Thanks for recommending it. Book me the room for these days. I personally feel like we're technologically probably not that far off from being able to do that, as opposed to will people do it that way, or will we just get handed off? I think big brands, like if I'm a Marriott or a Hilton, I'd be building my own God, why can't I think MCP right now, and like on and on. For other hoteliers, like you need to lean on your technology providers for this, but also like I can tell you that it's still a little bit of a guessing game as to where this is going to go. There's probably a good indication of like how that will work and when it will work, and maybe some people are a little further ahead than others, but at the end of the day, that's not a reality today. And even if it is, like this, booking a hotel and actually letting an AI use your credit card to complete a transaction is a wild proposition. As opposed to a
I
restaurant, you can get a open table booked, or something like that. It's fairly easy because it's a reservation. There's not the transaction at stake necessarily. So
yeah.
and there's so many policies, right? Like, oh, prepay, post pay, I have 50% down, and that there's all these kinds of things to navigate, different payment gateways, blah blah blah. But that will be coming, but that's an entirely different thing. And that again is more of a tech thing. If I were a hotelier and I'm concerned about this, I wouldn't spend my time trying to figure out how to build that. It will come. But in terms of this other thing, how do I get recommended and discovered? And those things will play out when they happen, right? But right now you want to get recommended. So let's focus on the things that we can control and do. And I think, or at least participate in.
Yeah. I do want to say, I think the one notable thing that I thought was really interesting from the report is that it looks at the report as structured, which, as I mentioned, I really like it. It looks at basically AI visibility from the perspective of broad searching. So based on city and sort of hotel, class and those kinds of things, the standard things. What I believe will be interesting in the future that I hope Cloudbeds is able to do is go niche by niche. Like, hey, what if you're looking for sort of luxury, high end? Hey, what if you're looking for, surf and sport? Hey, what if you're looking for horseback riding hotels? Hey, what if you're looking for pet friendly? What if you're looking for, things with kids? I think that those niches, it'll be fascinating to see whether the citation sources start to change and evolve. And this is something that this is a reason why, if you're not, sort of already signed up and paying attention to what Cloudbeds is doing, and I say this as someone who has no interest, right? Like no financial interest in Cloudbeds, but I would be paying attention to those sources that to Cloudbeds research on this, because I think those things will really matter for your industry and your particular angle for your hotel. That it's a customized world. Like AI does not give, it's not like Google where you just rank 1 through 10 and then oh, did we move up or down in the rankings? Everybody gets different answers. 10 of us could hop on to ChatGPT right now, ask exactly the same question, and we will get 10 different responses.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to look broadly at the stats, have people do research of, hundreds and thousands and millions of queries, prompts, in order to get these statistically significant results.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Unfortunately, we are really at the end of the show. I could go on much longer here. Just let me read here. Eric is saying, I think that AI will change the rules of tomorrow for the selection. For the selection, the traditional marketing power of the big players in the mid-scale hotel industry will have to be reviewed. This is already being seen. Thank you for your comment, Eric. Yeah, like I said, we did the report. Link is on the chat if you're interested. We also just need to mention that if you are interested in AI hotel search, more about this, let me share with you. We're gonna share with you another great content that we created here from the Cloudbeds team, the content team. Kudos to them. It's a checklist, so it's easier, like a kind of step by step, the things that you can do to maximize your hotel's visibility on GenAI engines. So be sure to check it out. We're also going to add the link to the chat so you can download it from there. So that's it for today, unfortunately, everybody. So let me say big thanks to our guests today, Rand and Ben. What a powerful discussion. Thanks for helping us rethink what's possible in the hotel marketing. I'm sure we all have a lot of questions, and yeah, so we really appreciate you sharing your insights into that. We can't wait to see what you both do next. Also, thanks everybody for joining us, for watching us. Oh, Craig, hello, Craig, and I know Craig, so hello, Craig from Newport
Craig.
Beach. Thanks for joining us. But thanks everyone. Again, it was a great show. Thanks for all the comments, all the shout outs and everything.
Paula,
We really appreciate it. Yeah.
if folks want to watch the recording, where do they do that?
Yeah, it is, as soon as it's finished, It will be available on LinkedIn, the same page that you are watching this now, YouTube as well, and then in about 2 days, will be in our website as well. So you can find it on these three
Good.
platforms. But yeah, thanks again,
Yeah,
everyone.
thanks for having
Uh,
me.
yeah,
Thank you for
had a
coming,
great
Rand.
time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got it, man. All right,
Thanks,
take
Paul.
care. Ciao,
thank
ciao.
you,
Cheers.
everyone. Bye bye.